going? Sorry, I want to make sure.
Yes.
All right.
Hey guys.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to those of us who are joining on Facebook Live. This is the Artist Speaker Series, where we bring in professionals who will share their ideas and experience to help you with business and professional development. This is every second Tuesday, except in December, and we're ending in the May session. So there are some thank yous that we do need to share. I'll have Hannah take over there.
Yes, first I want to thank Rayfield Modern for letting us use the space down here. We also want to thank the Sioux Falls Arts Council for fiscal sponsorship. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Donors, in kind and monetary, we want to thank you. Sioux Falls Area Community Arts Foundation for past support, and then Roseanne with the Levitt for the collaboration tonight and bringing Edwin here. So let's just start off with doing some intros. Our speakers tonight, the first speaker is Kate Vandel. She serves as grant administrator for the South Dakota Arts Council. Since 2020, she's led efforts to ensure grant making aligns with compliance standards and fulfills the agency's mission to support the arts statewide. I learned that she's from Michigan. She currently lives in Pierre with her husband and her Labrador retriever named Berta. How cute is that? Prior to her work in grants administration, she spent over a decade directing the design, production, and installation of museum exhibits, managing creative teams, timeliness, and budgets. Originally, she earned her degree in industrial design, which I also learned that she designed her house with her husband out in Pierre. So there's no secret doors, but I guess it's pretty cool out there. Oh, and I did want to say a fun fact. She does also still have a U.S. patent. Her and a team of industrial designers received it because they created a piece of medical equipment that's used in transporting patients. Pretty cool.
And then after she speaks, we'll have Maren, and a little about Maren. She was hired by Sioux Falls as its first arts coordinator. Engel has a background in arts administration, performing arts, community development, and fundraising. As arts coordinator, Engel collaborates with city departments, community organizations, neighborhoods, and individuals. Her responsibilities include creating arts and culture policies, managing city art investments, implementing procedures, and developing partnerships and financial resources to meet the diverse needs of residents and visitors. Engel hopes the success of her position will open opportunities for other communities across the state. Engel is actively involved in the arts, performing with Transept, the Goodnight Theater Collective, and Midtown Coffee Radio Hour. She is also a member of the Sioux Falls Arts Council, serving on its Fund Development Committee. And a little fun fact about Maren is that she teaches virtual voice lessons with an organization called Breathe Bravely. All of her students have a disease called cystic fibrosis, which impacts lung function. Their lessons focus on breathwork and music therapy to help support and empower students living with this isolating disease through the power of music. All right. So first on, I think let's bring Kate up.
Sure. There will be a Q&A at the end if you guys want to wait. If you just can't wait, I'm sure Kate would be happy to answer your questions.
But first, I have a question. Who in the audience today has applied for an Arts Council grant? Any grant? Who's applied for any grant? Any money from any organization? Keep your hand up if you got money. Keep your hand up if you've reapplied. Keep your hand up if you want more about how to apply. There we go. All right. Well, I had a great conversation with Hannah before coming out tonight. I really am just a data nerd behind a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's what it comes down to. I want everyone across the state just to know about the opportunities that we have available at the Arts Council. And I want everyone to see that myself and Sarah Carlson in the back in the bright blue, we are not scary people. We are here to help people get money. That is our number one goal. I don't make the decisions of who gets funding and who does not, but I am mostly here to help you figure out how the process works. How do I ask for money? What do I need? How much information do I have to provide? All of those things. So all I'm going to talk about tonight, and hopefully everyone saw, we do have a handout at the back, this bright blue, just like Sarah's shirts, is in the back with all of our grant opportunities for artists right here on the back side. And those are the things that I'm really going to focus on tonight, is just what we do to encourage participation from artists in our applicant pool. And I want to just talk for a second about why this all matters. Why am I up here talking to you today? Why do I want to give you money to do arts? Why does it matter? Because artists and arts across the state help us have a more robust economy, a more exciting place to live, beautiful things to look at, beautiful music like Edwin had at the beginning of the presentation tonight for us all to listen to. It just makes our life a lot better. And if we can give you money to do what you want to be doing, it helps everyone else across the entire state live a better life. It's that simple. The grants that we offer, we're looking for two things. We're looking for you to talk about what it is you want to do and how it is going to impact the life you live every single day. And then we need to see what you do in a way that showcases how well you do the work that you do. That's all we're looking for when we're looking at a grant application. You don't need a grant writer. You don't need a project. You don't need a PhD. You don't need any of those things. You just need to have a fire in your belly to do what you want to do. And you have to be able to convey that in a way that is going to convince someone else to give you money. We've all asked, how many of us used to ask our folks or bug our parents every day, can I just have $5? Can I go to the game this weekend? Can I have $10 to go to the donut shop? That's what we're looking for. We just want to know what it is that you want to do and how you plan to get there and what it's going to do for you personally. What we see most often in an application is, my name is Kate, and I grew up in Michigan, and now I live in South Dakota, but I really want to paint the outside of my house blue. And so when I was in Michigan, this is what all I want to know is why you want to paint your house blue. What is it about painting the house that's going to make your life so much better moving forward? So one of the mistakes that we see most often is just a little bit of the meandering story. And if you come to the table with an idea in mind and something that you want to do, it's very likely that you'll get funded for it. So that's just the high level. I don't want to take any time from Maren. But I work for the Arts Council. We give grants to artists to do the work that they want to do, so that we all can have a better life living in our state. So I'll hand it over to Maren, and she can talk about Sioux Falls.
Thanks, Kate. I'm Maren Engel. I work as the arts coordinator for the City of Sioux Falls. I just want to share a little bit about kind of the creation of my position, why it matters, and how kind of my position in its early stages is starting to help artists get connected to grant opportunities and encourage the city to provide more grant opportunities for artists. So the arts coordinator position really kind of started out of a community, our arts community, probably many of you, noticing that we had a really vibrant arts community here and not anyone at the city and the government level that's advocating, or not at least someone who maybe understands an artist or has had experience and knows the community. And so there was a lot of interest in pushing the city to recognize that our creative workforce, our creatives, our artists are doing a lot for our community. I think we can all agree that Sioux Falls would not be what it is today without the arts. We're in the heart of downtown where that is more prominent than ever. And the city really started taking notice because people coming to the table and reminding them how important the arts is for our community. And so it took about 5 years. A lot of you, Nancy, and I'm looking at you, Nancy and Roseanne, people who really advocated for this for like 5 years. And it really took that long for the city council to recognize how valuable this is. I mean, the kind of joke of the matter is that the mayor was really interested in this position because artists had questions about things in the community and they didn't have anyone to call, so they would call him directly. And he was like, well, we can't have this anymore. So, but the point being that there were a lot of people trying to engage with the city to ask these very questions. Where can I find funding for what I'm doing? Who do I talk to? What are the artist resource networks? And no one at the city could tell them. So the position finally was approved, and I kind of followed along and put my name in the hat, and it went too far, and now here I am. But it was important. It was something that was important to me as an artist in this community, a singer in this community that, you know, wants Sioux Falls to be the best it can be. I think that the last few years, Sioux Falls has really blossomed as an arts community, but we're having some growing pains, right? Well, it's hard now for the city to ignore that our artist community is growing, our opportunities are growing, and that means we need more resources and more connection and a stronger arts ecosystem. And so I'm early days in my job. I mean, it's a year and a half, but I'm going to keep saying I'm new for as long as that's acceptable. But some of the things that I focus on in my job is facilitating the Arts Commission. So this is a citizen board made up of people in the community who care about arts and culture. Most of them participate themselves, that help the city make responsible decisions about arts and culture, which is really important because you don't want me making a decision about how the streets are made, right? Or like me on the planning commission, right? You want the people who understand what you're doing to make those important decisions. And so we created this commission of 7 people who really kind of embody arts support in this community, and also recognize that they have to interact with city councilors and city leadership and be that go-between between the arts community and the city. And so part of what they have spent their time working on in these early days is writing arts policy, kind of getting a sense of who our partners are. I mean, I'm so grateful for Arts South Dakota and for the South Dakota Arts Council, for the Sioux Falls Arts Council, and figuring out how the city can better support those organizations and communicate to the public what their opportunities are. I think a lot of the times my phone rings and it's a question about something like this, and I'm able to say, here are the people I think you should connect with. I'm going to give you this information. And I think previously it was really hard for people to just find out who to contact. So at a kind of high level, that's like a lot of what I'm doing, but more than that, right now, the Arts Commission is really advocating for more public support of the arts so that the city itself can create a granting program, hopefully, fingers crossed, that all of you can apply for to provide the amazing services and creativity you do for our community. And so we spend a lot of time researching other cities and what those grant dollars look like. Right now, kind of the one granting program that I'm kind of involved with at the city is the Neighborhood Association Grant Program, which has been really interesting because a lot of the neighborhood associations have pursued public art related projects using those grant dollars, which has been interesting for me to be able to go back to leadership and say, people are trying to access funding for the arts and they're finding ways to do that. So maybe we should just create something to help those people. But that all to say that I want all of you to know and my partners to know that, you know, these are early days, but the goal of my role is to help strengthen these partnerships and these opportunities, and to continue to push the city to invest in a very important population in our community, and I think we're making steps forward. And as far as grants are concerned, really right now, I do a lot of I've sat on the South Dakota Arts Council's granting review board. I kind of connect artists to grant opportunities across the state, and just try to help kind of with that capacity building. I've helped read some grants and give advice, and those are some of the things that I think I can help with on those sides of things. But as a whole, hoping that the city will continue to push and support in those ways. So yeah, it's a little about me.
Stage or sit, maybe this is.
My questions are more of a rant, but so I'm a fiber artist and I make a lot of dolls, and I'm always interested to see how, like, the art councils, how, if there are fiber artists reaching out to you, what are they asking for, and what are ways that maybe like the fiber guilds could help? Yes.
Okay, great. Well, one really cool other grant opportunity is the mini grant program through the really driven towards or kind of whatever. So the Arts Council receives a lot of different grants. Sometimes it's for projects, sometimes it's for support that they need to do a project, sometimes it's a lot of different things. The goal of that grant is to help local artists to kind of help them in whatever stage of their art. So that would be a program I would look into. What I would add, Arts Council is funded much for them market into new audiences. So the South Dakota Arts Council that are really project or funded a fiber artist last year. What our grants are artists receive, applying for an artist grant, you're receiving any kind of income coming in to match that money, whether it is a factor or a supporter or organization. Amazing, you know, to show that work. You don't need any of that. All you need is high and what it is you want to do. So any level
feel like the entry level doesn't mean that the time is necessarily good jumping off point because it is the most cool that it is. Five of those applications. Other grant opportunities that we have this community time, a lot of higher dollar amounts. That's where development one and the fiber and stuff. Was successful in receiving that. Do whatever it is you want to do. But the what is, you just want a clear understanding of what the why is. So you can come in and really get why this, how the fiber I need to for my neighbors. I could go on and on story because that's what helps me to do. So yeah, hopefully that's the entry answer. But yeah.
Hello, my name is Dennis. I have a question. What if it is not, and mine is direct, I apologize. What was your name again? Maren. He's the intelligent one. My question is this, is that what if we were to call, and it was not in relation to funding, but coordination, like cooperation. I have a start. We both live in Sioux Falls. We have a band here that is from Sioux Falls. I actually started at the Levitt when they had the very first open mic night. And from there, that song got made better, and we've been all throughout the NFL with that song. And it kind of got big, but our question is local because we wrote a new song, and from what we learned about the stats of fan violence in the NFL and college sporting things, what we're trying to inspire is community through fan unity. We have two different colleges in town and they're rivals on the field, but that doesn't mean they have to be rivals off the field. So in coordinating a united effort, what do we call you and get some type of input?
Yeah, I would love for you to call me and tell me more about this. This is amazing.
Yeah,
I think the position is aptly named coordinator because I think a lot of what I do is hearing your story and thinking, okay, who do I know that these need to hear from these people, or who from the colleges, or who in those music departments, or in this part of this community that needs to hear your story. So I think anything you can do to kind of share what you're doing, and there are a lot of amazing arts leaders in this community, and the community is small enough still that I think we know a lot of different people, and it's still a very well-connected community. So I think telling your story to as many people as you can, and letting us kind of help you find the right connections, I think is great.
I'll be calling you.
Yeah, please do. I would love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maren, quick question for you. Do you support artists that don't live in Sioux Falls? Because I live in Mitchell. I don't know if.
Because I work with the City of Sioux
Yep.
Falls, that's really but call me and
I was going to say this is probably the main place I end up performing, though. So I don't know if it's based on where you live or where you're performing.
If you are performing in Sioux Falls, certainly.
Okay.
The goal is to help bring more arts and culture, support arts and culture in Sioux Falls, and that doesn't just mean local artists. That's certainly a big part of what I do, but we want our local community.
Thanks.
Oh,
Sorry.
This little mic.
It should be. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me? So to answer your question, yes, of course. If you are a performer that is doing work in this community and it's looking for resources, looking for connections, looking for places to play, and just, one of the things that we're working on right now through our strategic planning process is to create a better kind of map and registry of where our venues are, who our artists are, what are Sioux Falls arts amenities, so that someone like you can get on the website and say, I want to perform in Sioux Falls. Who should I talk to and where should I go? So yes, absolutely.
And then once you work with Maren and figure out all those details, you come in and you apply for a grant, because we fund transportation, we fund lodging, we fund per diem, we fund all the things that are going to get you from Mitchell to Sioux Falls. And then we also fund your marketing, any of your collaborating artists, all of those kinds of things. So it's a twofold. You go to her, you get some input. Yeah.
I have the pencil mic now. Okay, so we've been talking mostly about money. At least that's the way I'm perceiving it. But I'm thinking of other infrastructure things, and especially as the city. The city has quite a few parks, some of them big, some of them not as big. And all of them seem to be a potential venue for performances. And so, is there something that we can do to put wind in the sails of, let's have, especially during, when it's not snow on the ground or something like that, we can have these venues all around and make this kind of a festival every weekend kind of thing?
I love this idea. It's something that we talk a lot about, myself and with other members of the community, that, the most public spaces are parks and libraries and rec centers, right? And so, part of what I think about is, yes, we have a very vibrant downtown. There's a lot happening here, but there are a lot of places across our city that really don't have access to arts and culture, but not because they don't have a place to do so, right? And so parks is something I spend a lot of time thinking about, and actually an initiative of the city right now is to partner with some community organizations to help get music, get arts experiences to other places across the city, because we have an incredible park system. And we need to figure out a better way to organize ways to make sure that those neighborhoods and those areas are getting access to some of the amazing things that are happening downtown, right? So tell us where you want to see. Because I think that's what helps. I work a lot with neighborhood associations, which is I'm a big believer in neighborhood associations, because they have the ability to come to the city as a group and say, we want this and we want it in this park and this is important to us. So that's a great way, if you live in an area with a neighborhood association, to connect with them too. But yeah, this is something that we really want to push this year, is getting art out of downtown a little bit.
So I was actually thinking about the permitting system.
Yeah.
Is there a way to go through you to get the permits that we need?
Yes. So this is something that we're navigating, because music permitting is different and challenging, right? And this is why we're partnering with some folks. But yes, any sort of park permit for anything that you need, you can access through the city. Oftentimes, you'll have to kind of get the permit, but also there's sound things. There's a lot of red tape. I'll be the first to tell you that. But the hope is that an artist could contact me and I could walk them through those processes, so that they don't get so far in the process and, oh, we forgot to check this box or to get this permit. I also really believe in simplifying those processes. And so those are some things we're thinking about too. But absolutely, I think if any artist is navigating the park system, my position is in planning, but I work a lot with the Parks Department. So, yeah.
Question from the staff.
Hi, my name is Liz, and I'm just starting out as like an indie author, and my question is, if I apply for a new artist grant, does it need to have an impact in the community, or can I apply for it because I'm from South Dakota?
You can apply for it because you're from South Dakota. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing that we're looking for, especially with our artist grants, is the impact to you as the individual. Okay. That's anything beyond that is kind of gravy, I would say. Mm-hmm. But if, like I said, if you have something that you're looking to do and you want to do it and you feel like this is gonna, it doesn't even have to be profound. It could just be, this is going to get the story that I've had in my head out of my head and on the paper. We've literally have seen applications that have looked for nothing more than that, or even just paying yourself for the time it's going to take you to write it down. We've seen applications that are saying, this $5,000 in a fellowship grant is going to be transformational to me because it means that I can set aside an hour out of my day every day to do my work and not feel like I'm letting something else go or the story is slipping away. So it could be any kind of impact to yourself personally as an artist. Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm floored right now. Because I have that tension. Yesterday I was like making dinner in my kitchen, like, when am I ever going to get time to that? Like, have a full-time job and do the art, do the writing at the same time, which, I still find it, but it's like nice that you have that option.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I just want to celebrate Kate and the work that the council is doing. I think, for those of you that have applied for grants through other types of organizations or through municipal organizations or in the nonprofit space, I think there is a perception that granting and applying for grants is really difficult and complicated, because it is for a lot of organizations. And the Arts Council has done incredible work to make those grants as accessible to artists as possible. And it's really important work. And it really is becoming more best practice nationwide. I would love to see other granting organizations think about that a little bit differently, because this work is amazing. And I'm glad to hear that you're happy about that, because it's not as hard as you've imagined.
Well, and I think I'm just going to jump off of that. I think what's really disheartening, and Sarah and I just had a conversation about this the other day, is we can't give grants to everyone. I mean, I'm just going to come out and just say that. We have a limited budget. So we see upwards of 50 artists applying every year, and we grant to a large portion of those, but not everyone. And what's hardest for us is after the application, after you find out whether you got your money or not, our door is always open for conversation. And when I send out letters to grantees, or whether you receive funding or not, we have an open invitation up through a certain point, because we hit a wall. But we invite everyone to come back and have a conversation with us about their application. And we do that whether someone has received money or not. And what's hard for us is we see a lot of people say, oh, well, I didn't get it, so I'm all done. I'm never going to apply for that grant again. And that's really hard for us as funders, because the more people that come in and request money, the more of you we get to know, which is awesome. But it's also that just because you didn't get funding the first time around, it doesn't mean that second time or third time or fourth time or fifth time, it could be any of those times along the way that you're going to trip into some money from our agency, or we'll connect you with another organization, or you'll have a great conversation with myself or Sarah or Executive Director Patrick. And that'll kind of flip your script a little bit. And that next go around, you get money, or maybe you get more money than you thought you were going to get because you feel so confident you're in a different category of support.
So that I think is what's so hard is if you've applied for money, like Maren was saying, if you've applied for money from a city municipality or a private organization or anyone else, and you didn't get it, it's not a door that's closed. It's a window that's open. There's money out there for artists in our state. And myself and Sarah and our whole team, we're on the phone constantly when applications are open, which is January 1st through March 1st. I forgot to say that. And our whole role is to make sure that every single person that applies gets that application in. And that's really hard for me to go back and see all these apps that have been opened and started that just didn't cross the finish line. You have from January 1st through 11:59 p.m. on March 1st to get your application in. And we do our darndest to make sure that those applications all come across the finish line and they're reviewed by our panelists. All of those panelists make the time to review those applications, to give you notes on what to improve or what worked or what didn't work. So, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that people get money. I always tell people I want to put a $sign next to my name when I have a name tag because that money, I just need to give it out. And I can only give it out if you've crossed that finish line, if you've got that application in. And it's not much that we're asking for. I just need a compelling case, and some facts and data because that's where I lie. So yeah, I would encourage everyone in this room everyone online to give it a try and apply. Yeah. Sorry. That was long.
I know that we have talked previously about this, the resources that are available to actually do the grant. And I know you have a lot. So if you could share, because doing a grant is often very intimidating. And sometimes we don't take that first step simply because we're overwhelmed.
So this year, what we've always struggled with is because our state is so small, our artist pool is so small. We've always struggled with, oftentimes you'll see like a redacted application out there. Well, we can't do redacted applications because we wind up blacking out like 90% of the application because my name, I'm going to know it's Maren's application because she's a singer and she's listing all the things and she lives in Sioux Falls. So what we're doing this year, which is different for us, is we're doing sample or example applications. We've actually crafted, each application will have a specific track just for artists. So you can see what an artist statement is going to look like and what a non-meandering biography is going to look like. That's really, I can't sell that point enough. Just tell me what you're looking for. Give me some directions. So it'll have all of that in it. It'll show you what a budget looks like. And it'll have some work samples. Sarah and I actually brainstormed, and we have a wonderful coworker who was willing to review my artist application for me, talk about finding a friend to review your application. I would strongly encourage that as well. And so we have, a band as our artist. So we have a lead singer of a band with 3 tracks of applications. We'll show you an artist career development grant fully fleshed out through that artist's eyes, a collaboration grant, which is another option, and then a fellowship application for each of those tracks that our artists will have. So we'll have those examples up online, hopefully in December. And then we always have, we have draft review. So if you submit your application by February 10th, which is before our March 1st application deadline, myself and our team will review your application in its entirety. We read your artist bio, we read your artist statement, we read your project statement, we review your budget, I'm not just vetting an application. I'm reading everything that you're submitting, checking all your work samples. And if I have questions, I can assure you that our panel is going to have questions. So I come back to you with with all my notes in the margins, basically. So you can see exactly what I'm missing from your application. And then you've got 2 more weeks that you can use to fill those gaps and get your app in. We're talking about trying something a little different. We've always done a water cooler session where we have these live call sessions. Our popularity of those has really tapered off. So we've talked about maybe trying some grant writing circles where we'd have like a cohort of people coming together at regular scheduled times to work through sections of the application together. We haven't fleshed all of that out yet, but that's on the table as well. And honestly, if anyone has a tip or a trick or something that they've learned along the way in their grant writing process that they want for us to consider or they thought was really helpful, we're open to those ideas as well. Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to pop in because I had a question, and this is based on a grant that I was able to get. It's the Artist Relief Fund.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, I don't follow the whole hierarchy of it, but I believe you guys had to do with that. So basically my ask is, instead of just artists looking for like, here's something I want to do for the community, or here's a project I want to do, maybe it's just something like, hey, I do classes and I got really sick. So like last year I had to cancel a couple of sold out classes. I had to refund tickets. I had to use that to pay the mortgage. So I was able to find that, but I really lucked out because I just happened to be talking to somebody about all the things going on. And they were like, why don't you apply for this? Are there resources for artists to look out there? Like, hey, I need help. I may not have a project, but I am an artist and I need help in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's because I'm sick or there's car repairs.
Yeah, and that gets really tricky for us. Our funding comes from a higher level. So with the artist relief grants, that was specific through our partners at Arts South Dakota. We were able to do that, and that was the Sioux Falls Arts Council that also was involved in that as well. So I want to give credit where credit is due. If I received a call like that, I would most likely do what Maren said earlier and put you on a path that I think would be the most helpful. It wouldn't necessarily be from us as a state agency, but we would be aware, or I'd have you call her, or there's enough of a network across the state that I think that if you had a gap like that, someone in that art sphere would be able to fill it. Yeah.
He had his hand up for a couple times now.
Hey, thank you. My name's Chad. I'm a musician here in town. I was curious. So I went to Deadwood earlier this year and was a part of a songwriter festival out there. And it was absolutely amazing. It was energetic and just amazing. I was just curious, how does that happen here in Sioux Falls? Like, do I need to find an organization who's willing to drive that? Is that something the city would be interested in helping coordinate, perhaps the Levitt? I'm just curious about that because, in addition, I also have some nonprofit organizations that are like, oh, we'd love to have you come and play at a thing, and while I'll gladly play for free. Or you could apply, and get some funding for an event. So I was just curious on kind of both of those aspects.
Yeah, well, I do know of some songwriter festivals in Sioux Falls. I'm sure there are more. I have a good friend, Janice, who does a festival every year. So I know that is happening, and I can get you some contacts for the people that I know that's doing it. Sounds like you guys might know some too. And to answer your question about city involvement, I think if you're asking about applying for funds for something like that, typically it's easier to access project funds like as a nonprofit. I mean, partnering with a nonprofit is a really good idea because they have the flexibility to apply for different types of funds, to ask for funding. So that might be something you want to explore. the Sioux Falls Arts Council has a great program as fiscal sponsorship where new emerging nonprofits can kind of fall under their EIN number when they're kind of just getting their feet wet as a nonprofit, because it is hard to start a nonprofit and sometimes you need support. But yeah, if you're just trying to tap into a songwriting group, we have that here. I think maybe it would just be like everyone getting together and kind of really, maybe it's, an arts organization in town that you could host something with and they could help you get the word out and things like that. I think that's the beautiful thing about the Sioux Falls arts community is the level of collaboration is very strong here. That is not the case in a lot of cities. So I think there's a lot of people that are willing to help and, lift up opportunities like that. And to your question about whether you should get paid to do your work, the answer is yes. So you should definitely do that.
I had a question here that I missed too.
Oh yeah, is it on? Hello.
Yes, it's on.
Okay, I got a couple questions. Well, I had one. Are you about the murals that are left? I already painted one. But I had some friends that wanted to do it, and I thought they were all closed up. I didn't think they were still taking any applicants.
Are you talking about the art wall project?
Is that all on the 300 building? I guess I thought they were doing it in other areas.
Yeah. So I think the Washington Pavilion manages that program.
Okay.
I think that they stopped doing permits just because of the weather.
Oh, okay.
You can still apply for a permit, and I think you can paint if you want, but they will encourage you to wait until it's warm enough.
Okay, well, I had some friends and they were real bummed.
Well, tell them to do it. It's a very cool, it's a cool project.
Yeah, I just found out you're still, and then I had another question and I thought about this, because you do the coordinating, or, a lot of artists will tell you, they'll walk around the city and go, gee, I went to Omaha, I went to this other city and there's art everywhere. It's sculptured art in the benches but we don't have that here. I don't know if you can push for that, just standardized art. So you're just not walking through a regular city anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that and maybe this is getting to your point a little bit, something that Sioux Falls is needing to do more of is thinking about art and design and basic infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yes. To answer your question, that is something we really need to work on here.
If that does happen, filter it through us.
Yeah, absolutely. Come talk to the Arts Commission. That's something that they talk about a lot. And, the city is doing that. They just almost don't realize they are. So if you have walked across the 8th Street Bridge or the 6th Street Bridge, there are design elements to that. And when I talk to people in engineering, I'm like, you guys are already doing public art. You don't think it is because it feels very small. But it makes a really big difference when you walk across the 6th Street Bridge and there's some cool elements and flowers and it's walkable. Those are things that we really want to see more of. I'm on a project right now to hopefully replace a lot of our bus stop structures. That's a really cool opportunity to showcase local art.
I've seen them in the other cities. Mm-hmm. It's not a bus stop. It's literally a work of art.
This is what I would love to see too. And there's hopefully some very cool potential to pay some artists to do some of that work. So these are the things I advocate for. So I really appreciate that comment. It is something that we really should, pursue more here. I think I won't get into too much of the structure of it all, but a lot of cities have tax dollars that kick back to the city to support some of those things. And South Dakota does not. And so we have to really incentivize not only city departments, but also private developers to think about public art and design at the front end of their projects, because it's not a given, right? They have to make the decision to do it. So keep telling people to do it. Yeah.
So again, I appreciate the conversation about money, but you mentioned that you're doing some coordinating of getting people together, building community. How do we find out about that? How do we tap into it? What kind of things do you envision it encompassing? For example, there's people apply for building permits to build office buildings and stuff like that. In some places, they say, like if your building, it costs this much, you have to have X percentage as part of the permitting thing.
Yep.
You have to have X percentage to go to art.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about what kind of things like that you're doing when you're coordinating?
Mhm.
What can we come to you and say, hey, do you have a list of people who want to be a bass player, but they don't have no band, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I mentioned briefly, and some of you I recognize have been involved in this process a little bit. The city is updating its arts and cultural plan, strategic plan, which is, really a kind of a plan for the next 10 years based on what the community is telling us that they want to see. And it's a really important time to be doing this because we have a person in city government. We have an arts commission that the city is listening to make decisions and that can really push some of these efforts. And so, this process is continuing through next year. Right now, there's a survey on the city's website. A lot of these organizations have shared it. That's your opportunity to express a lot of these thoughts that many of you have, that you want to see. You want more opportunity for the arts community to collaborate or to come together. I want to know that. You want to see incentives for design and permit. Those kinds of things. We want to hear that from the public, the constituents, because when the constituents are telling the city that's what they need and what they want, it's more powerful than me knocking on their door and asking for it. So, definitely fill out that survey. The Watering Can has been sharing it really frequently, and so has the Levitt. And it's on the city's website, arts and culture website. It's just siouxfalls.gov/arts and culture. You can't miss it. There's a lot of time to complete it, but do it now because we want as many responses to that as possible. That's what's going into this report that will go to city council, in front of city council, for them to approve and say, we commit to pushing this plan forward. To your point about more things like this, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm such a huge fan of the Watering Can because I think what they're doing is creating community for artists to come and ask questions, to come and seek guidance, to get advice, to maybe connect with someone who needs a bass player. We have to do more of that. Right now, the Sioux Falls Arts Council has a registry that I know they're kind of working to update a little bit. But the city is also trying to work on some kind of registry situation. It should be very easy to say, I need a mural, or I need a bass player. We need to do a better job of figuring out how to organize that and make it really easy for people to do that.
And kind of along those same lines, and maybe I've just missed it, but is there a central location I can go to find out about things that are arts and culture in Sioux Falls? I struggle to find live music sometimes. I struggle to find meetings like this sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, you're tapping into a lot of the issues a lot of people have, and this is something that definitely needs to be addressed. I think there are a lot of organizations that have an arts calendar. Yes. I would love to see those organizations talking to each other and figuring out how to do one, but it is really hard to do a calendar, as it turns out. It takes a lot of work, but it's really important. We do have a hard time, I think, maintaining a really consistent arts calendar in this town. Not everybody's. Yeah. I utilize on the city's website, we utilize the Sioux Falls Arts Council's events calendar. We also link to all of the artist resources. We have a link to the South Dakota Arts Council, to Arts South Dakota, Arts Midwest, the Sioux Falls. Yep. siouxfalls.gov/arts and culture. There's a part of that website that's all a resource. Any arts organization that could be helpful to an artist is linked there. Yeah.
And Maren talked about this. Arts South Dakota is our nonprofit advocacy arm for the arts across the entire state. They also have a very small but mighty team. They provide an arts calendar, and they also have a weekly arts newsletter. I would encourage everyone here to, so that's, I think it's just arts.sd.org. artsouthdakota.org. Like I said, they have a very robust calendar. You can search by city, by region, by type. Now, that's all fed by artists in the community and arts organizations. So if you're not finding what you want to see from Sioux Falls, start harping on those organizations that aren't posting their live music or their live events. And their arts newsletter is amazing. I use it every week, and it's broken down by region. It's events like this. It has call outs like jobs that are open right now or opportunities. That's our go-to for advertising for all of our grants opportunities across the state. So yeah, I would start there, and then you can get into the granular. Yeah.
And if you have something, you can send it to them and they'll put it in.
You can, yes. So if you're an artist and you have an exhibit opening, or you're an arts organization, you have an event coming up. If you're Claudia and you're hosting a watering can, she's posting on Arts South Dakota's calendar. Yeah. Ticketed events. Yep.
Hello. Okay, I have two questions. So my first question is, if you are an individual artist, can you apply and receive the career development grant? And then if you're working with somebody else, can you also receive a collaboration grant as well? Or is it like?
It's a one stop. Okay. So it's one opportunity. It's one application. So I pick your plan, accordingly. So yeah, we do put a stop on the number of applications for artists. So if you pick one path and that's your path and that's where you're going to apply. It does get pretty tricky because we all want to put our eggs in all the baskets, right? It's like the lottery. If I don't buy a ticket, I can't win, right? But that is one where it's just one application per person. And I will also say, I see a lot of artists that start applications and maybe in all three, and then they kind of land in one spot. And we will allow for that, but we just can't have you land in multiple spots. Yeah.
Does those grants, like if I apply to one for this year, can I apply for another one the following year? Is it refresh?
So some of it, this is where it gets a little tricky. The Artist Career Development Grant, the only one that you would be locked out of for the following 2 years would be the Artist Career Development Grant. However, you could apply for a collaboration grant that next year or an artist fellowship grant that next year. Those higher dollar ones, the artist fellowship or the artist collaboration, you're locked out of any individual grants for a 3-year cycle. So you'd get your grant, then you'd have to wait 2 years to reapply. Yeah. So it does get a little tricky with the logistics. We do keep really good tabs on who our past applicants and recipients are. So if we see you coming in on a path that isn't going to work for you, we let you know as soon as I catch you, I let you know.
My last question is for the fellowship grant. So it's for established artists. Could you talk a little bit about your criteria for what an established artist is?
So established artists is really how well you explain yourself. Yeah, I've seen artists come in on the fellowship track that are maybe have been in their field for 5 years, and then we see people that come in on the fellowship track that have been in the field for 50 years. It really comes down to that compelling impact. I think one of the ones that stands out the most for me in the fellowship category is, we did have an artist come into the fellowship category who is a well-established artist in our state. And what I found most compelling about his application was he was simply asking for time. He was asking for time to do his work, time to do his craft, time to take away. And we could see that in the Artist Career Development Grant category. We could see that in the fellowship category. We could see that in the collaboration category. It really does just come down to how well you explain the work you've done. And like I said, the Artist Career Development Grant you don't necessarily have to be new. It's just the easiest launch point for you to enter into are granting. And that's not anything that we're doing. It's just the size of the pool that you're in. Yeah. So it's a good starting spot. All the applications are, I'm going to be really candid. The applications are exactly the same. We're not asking different questions in one or the other. It's going to look the same for everyone. It really does just come down to the story that you're telling and the work that you're showing. I would say, in the fellowship category, I would say people want to see, not like you have a limit on everything. So you're limited to your resume. So we're not going to see, like, Sarah and I always joke, like, we don't want to see beginning of time art to now. We want to see what you're doing that's relevant. And that relevance could be a 5-year track. It could be a 10-year track. So I think that's kind of that established artist is where we tend to see a little bit of a bump in the fellowship category on that resume side of exhibition experience or just work experience in general. So that could be a tipping point, but it totally depends on the work that you're showcasing, the work you want to do. Art is all very how it makes you feel, right? Everyone's going to respond to an application differently. Our panels are large. We do have anywhere from 4 to 5 people per panel. So there's a wide crowd reviewing your work. So it's not just going to lie with me. It never lies with me. I don't make those decisions, thankfully. I just have to deliver the good or bad news at the end of the conversation. So yeah, I didn't answer your question very well, but I would hate to have anyone decide not to apply in a category just because they didn't feel they were worthy. You're all worthy of wherever you want to land. Just if you land in a smaller pool, make sure your story is to an 11.
Did you have a question? Yes. Mine is more of a observation and advice rather than a question. I moved to Sioux Falls 6 years ago because I was playing music and I wanted a bigger environment to play music. When I got here, I found a small group of musicians and I thought it was big because I came from a small community. But the longer I've been here, I keep popping into these little groups that maybe 10 bands, maybe 20 musicians, and they don't know about the other people. And the events don't get posted. They don't get shared. They don't gain any legs. And there are some fantastic musicians in this community. My recommendation, I guess, is you need, starting with the musicians in this room, liaisons, business cards that we can hand out or cards that we can hand out. Check into this. Put your name on this calendar. Invite people. Talk about it. The more you spread the word that there is this organization, because quite frankly, I've been a part of 5 now organizations in Sioux Falls that have tried to get some legs, but they couldn't get any further than the front door because not enough people were their liaisons. There wasn't enough carrying the message to the next small group of musicians, small group of artists.
I appreciate that. Yeah, just reiterating your point. I use the word arts infrastructure, arts ecosystem a lot. And I think we have a really great arts ecosystem here that we need to figure out how to connect better, right? Not just connect to more resources, which we need to do, but also connect to each other, connect to business people that can hire you, that can commission something from you. I think that feels like, I shouldn't say low hanging fruit because it is a hard issue to tackle, but we're at that place where I think all the pieces are there. We need to figure out how to connect them better. So I appreciate that.
We actually had another question in the back. And she wanted to know if there are other groups kind of like this, maybe in a public setting, that are not downtown Sioux Falls. If so, what are they, or where could you find more information of where that would be?
Do you mean like organizations like Watering Can?
Kind of like the Watering Can, but maybe like a public space where you can maybe do your work while something is going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that downtown has really been the kind of the resource network for artists. But again, I mean, this is why I talk about arts deserts and where we can connect better. And again, I'll bring up neighborhood association and public spaces. I mean, that's where people are meeting. And if you have a desire to bring more arts and culture to yourself, as opposed to having to always come down here, so downtown is always going to be blossoming. But talk to your neighbors, talk to your rec center, talk to your public library, and see if you can coordinate some of those things. That's how things get done, right? When you find a group. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for that. And I think those public spaces are where you should do them. But I'll keep my eye out for if I'm hearing anything about other groups like this that are doing this work.
I'm just piggybacking on this guy's idea. And this is just spitballing here, so it might not even be anything to do with the city. But, you know, one thing that's also very hard is a brand new, especially young musician who's, you know, hasn't cut his teeth or her teeth out in public, doesn't have the gear, you know, all that stuff, right? I know I've had a couple of kids. I've had gigs, and I've had a couple of kids come in, bring their stuff, and get up and play a set, right?
Yeah.
Just try to launch them. I think formalizing that a little bit to almost create a mentorship.
Yeah, love it.
Would be pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
And that is just not just music. That can be any art, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that idea. I know that there is a kind of mentorship program within the city, but I'd love to bring this idea to that program and say, do you have any musicians or artists that are currently acting as mentors? And if not, we should add them. But I think, yeah, I mean, capacity building, that's another thing we talk about a lot. It's really hard to get started if you don't have the equipment, if you don't have the location, if you can't pay rent. And yeah, we really need to find, the city needs to do a better job. Arts organizations need to do a better job of figuring out how to foster, I think, young artists. I think right now we've kind of this gap where like we've really great arts education in our school district and in our colleges. And I think we have some artists that have lived here for a long time and are making their work here and doing really well. And I think there's a gap in support kind of after that.
I think there's a huge gap in even those venues, even a resource for those venues.
Yeah.
It seems like the venues are locked into the same.
Yep. Same people. Yep.
It's like, where's a place where they can go and see little clips of other artists and
Yeah.
say, let's give them a shot. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Fill out the survey on the city website and say that.
If you talk to one of the owners, they'll still be like, "Oh, I've never heard of you. You don't have a chance to play
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
It's tough. Sioux Falls is tough.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that there is an internship program sort of in place. Can you say more about that? Or mentorship, I mean? Yeah.
I think it's really like our current mayor is really big on mentorship. So he's kind of initiated a mentorship program that I think, I don't know that it's something you officially sign up for. It's more of like a go out and be a mentor. And if you have questions and you need support, someone at the city can help connect you to the right place. But yeah, mentorship is really important. And I think, you know, whether it's organized or you find an opportunity to mentor someone, there are mentorship programs through all sorts of different organizations in Sioux Falls. So plug into one for sure. Yeah.
I know a lot of artists struggle well countries. You want to be known, we're advertised.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I've done a lot of events and it's just, maybe there are events advertised, but you feel left out. And if that event, and I did one this summer where it was theirs for artists, but it's like they promoted the event, Nobody knew who any of the artists were. And I
Sure.
know with that mural, I painted one down on that 300 building. I was kind of shocked that nobody reached out to me and said, here's how, because that was designed to highlight different artists in the city. The mural's up, but me, the person, isn't.
Yeah.
How come I didn't get highlighted?
Sure. Yeah. I've really encouraged the people kind of working on that project to start some sort of, they have a kind of a landing page website. And there's a real opportunity, I think, to highlight the artists that are currently featured. So I will definitely pass that along to them. I think that that's really valuable feedback. And I think at this point,
like a lot of the events just don't, if you're doing that art event, I think some of them just,
yeah, for sure.
And that may be another thing. You reach out to Art South Dakota and that newsletter and tell them you are an artist and you work for that. Here are some of the other artists and take a, send a picture in.
Yeah.
Because if they have a big following of people who are on their newsletter, then your name could come across.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an opportunity. He does have a question.
My question is there a repository or a list of people who would support artists, musicians with space to practice their craft? That is a very difficult thing, beginning especially, even established.
Yeah.
It's hard to find space to practice your craft.
Absolutely.
Is there an availability or a thought about creating a list to establish places where people can rehearse, practice, record, paint, sculpt, have the space available where they're not going to get ushered out as soon as they do their first rehearsal or create their first piece, but they get paint on the floor?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting this feedback a lot, that space is an issue in Sioux Falls. And it's, we have to figure out how to solve it, certainly. I think one of the things that we're working on with this cultural plan is to assess where the spaces exist. I don't even think we have a real grasp of what actually exists and how it's being used at this point. So the consultant is spending a lot of time diving into that. Where are spaces that have the potential to do something like this or feels like a really good fit? We need people to step up and provide some of those things. But I think there's also a lot of recommendations that can be made for how to use space differently. I mean, Rayfelds is a great example of a space that saw an opportunity to provide a community resource, and they're doing it very well. And I'd like to see more of that, particularly in the performing arts side of things. So you are not alone in your frustration here. And it's something that we're really working to take kind of an inventory of so we can figure out how to solve that problem.
I think possibly a solution would be to incentivize to the builders of new projects. Say, by the way, do you have any available space for contributing artists to use? Yeah,
it's a great thought.
Building a list, at least a foundation of a list that way, is a good start.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Hi, my name is Jordan, and I just wanted to bounce off what the other gentleman before the last one said. I forgot your name. Sorry. But I was thinking that it would be cool to see events maybe showcase artists, say, like via like the Facebook page or something similar to like the way like Comic-Cons or Voices Against Cancer do. Like it would be cool to be like, this artist is like, this is like one post today, it's like, this artist is going to be there, like up to the event, and then it showcases some of their art or something. Like encourage those people that are hosting those events to do that. So instead of saying there's going to be 50 plus vendors,
right?
Like who is it?
Highlighting.
Highlighting them and treating them as important, because because the artists are important to our community. So making them feel special and noticed.
I think that, really important, a couple comments here about that. I completely agree with you. I think also I always want to remind artists, especially in this community, to advocate for themselves and to say, I want to do this show, but I want to know, it's not just enough for me to be able to have my art like standing up potentially to be sold, but what else can be gained from this? How can this help me get myself out there more? And bring those things up when you have an opportunity. Certainly if it's an opportunity where you're not being paid to do something, bring that up. But I think there are other ways you can advocate for yourself too. I mean, this question with the wall is a great example. Like, that's not a paid project, but there are things that the organizers can be doing to support those artists in a better way. And so I'll take that feedback, certainly. But always advocate for yourself. If you have an idea like that, bring it up.
If you're going to work for exposure, you at least get the exposure.
Exactly.
So that brings up another issue that I find is quite fundamental to a lot of the things we've been talking about, is that a lot of people know what they want to do anyway, but they don't know how. And one of the things is advocating for oneself. And many people, they don't, especially artists, a lot of times they're artists because they don't communicate well verbally. And so they find another way to communicate. And then, except that let's say if you're a guitar player, if you walk into a place and start playing your guitar, the other person may not know what you're talking about. But I think that that's not an insurmountable problem. It's like a lot of times it's kind of like stage fright. You need to get up on the stage and do it till the butterflies fly away. Yeah. And we don't have a let's say a way, so far as I know, that people can come and practice being nervous until they're not nervous anymore. And I think that would be very useful. And if you say, well, okay, advocate for yourself, a lot of people don't have the verbiage for that. They don't know the script. They don't know the parroting. And there are some ways it's kind of like, what's your pickup line? It's like, if you don't have that, then you don't know how to start
your elevator pitch.
That's right. Yeah. But you got to have, to me, the elevator pitch starts off with a pickup line. It's like, okay, when, you got to open the conversation first, and then, well, what do you follow it up with? So I think that those kind of things that people, those are the fundamental kind of things that sometimes it's easier to start at a higher level in terms of communication. But I think that would be useful.
Yeah, I think that could be a really cool watering can topic. I think that, it would be a great opportunity to have artists come and talk to each other and to some panelists about how to advocate for themselves, how to negotiate a contract, how to ask for grant feedback. I mean, I think that could be a really cool thing to do.
How to get paid.
How to get paid. Yeah.
How to get paid.
I kind of wanted to piggyback on that just a little bit. Keep coming to events like this. Go to places like Good Natured. I know it's another downtown type location, but where the community and where people are gathering and talking about things, this is where you ask and you bring that stuff up. And Good Natured is a great place to go in and start doing classes and things. It's a great place to kind of get started and do those awful stuttery, I'm here to teach you a painting class. So just keep reaching out and going to these things, and those opportunities will keep coming. People like Maren are working on getting things less siloed. And although we are very siloed still, the more we reach out to each other, the more we're telling each other about what's going on. But I feel like that brings us about to time.
So if you guys could help us move the chairs to the back room, that'd be great. Because my back hurts a little bit. And number 2, it'd be great if we can get a group photo with everybody. Feel free to share. We'll post it on the watering can so that everybody can get it. But whoever wants to do that can come up here.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for tuning in on the live, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Very cool.